Namaskar and good evening. My name is Sushil Singh. You're watching Echoles. Today we are going to discuss the bad employee mindset. So what exactly is a bad employee mindset? It's not about someone having an off week or lacking a specific skill. It's a pattern of behavior rooted in psychology that leads to self-sabotage and team disruption. These are the employees who procrastinate endlessly, forget tasks despite reminders, argue with their bosses and their own mistakes, or sometimes vanish without a trace when they leave jobs. They are big on promises but short on delivery. They are quick to blame everyone else, colleagues, systems, even the office Wi-Fi for their failures. From a psychological perspective, this mindset often ties back to the lack of self-efficacy, the belief in one's ability to succeed. According to Albert Bandura's work on self-determination theory, people thrive when they feel autonomous, competent, and connected to others. Loser employees, sorry to use that term, bad employees, often lack these. They don't trust their competence, so they avoid tasks. They feel disconnected from the team, so they don't care about letting others down. And instead of taking responsibilities, they lean into defensive attribution bias, a psychological tendency to blame external factors to protect their ego. It's a vicious cycle of avoidance, blame, and stagnation. I'm going to discuss which are visible on bad employees every day. If you are a corporate, a business director, a vice president sales, or somebody who is a decision maker, check out if you have these employees in your offices. Let's break it down. This mindset with 10 specific traits I have personally observed over my years of leading teams at SSR, Cyber System, Echoles. These behaviors are telltale signs of the bad employee mindset, and psychology helps us understand why this happens. The first and foremost is procrastination. They delay tasks like it's an Olympic sport. Psychologically, this often stems from the fear of failure. If they don't start, they can't fail. They don't start, they don't finish. So they procrastinate. Forgetting tasks. Even after multiple reminders, assignments slip their mind. This can signal low consciousness, big 5 personality trait linked to poor discipline. Arguing with the feedback, point number 3. They push back when you call out their errors, the issues which they have. Deflecting to protect their self-image, a classic case of cognitive dissonance. 4. Overpromising. They always talk big without follow-throughs. This reflects an inflated sense of self to mask insecurity, a trait tied to narcissistic tendencies. Refusing accountability, typos, missed deadlines, typos in the resumes, blaming it to the printers. Always someone else's fault. So if they have a problem, a typo in their resume, spelling mistake, they will say it's the printer's mistake, not theirs. These people have been blaming for their failures to their parents, to their siblings, and they are blaming to the corporate culture and the office employees, office electricity, food, office coffee, tissues. They're blaming everything now. They believe outcomes are always beyond their influence. They don't trust themselves. Blaming others, colleagues, tech, even the weather, or the car, cab, coffee, anything but themselves. This is defensive attribution bias in action. Ladies and gentlemen, shielding their ego from failure is their primary priority. 7th point is chronic negativity. They complain about everything: work, team, company. This aligns with the learned helplessness, where they feel powerless to change their situation. No initiative. If not explicitly assigned, they won't touch it. This reflects low intrinsic motivation, a core component of self-determination theory. They don't want to initiate because they don't want to do it. This is a clear sign of a bad employee. Point number 9. When you do above 8, then you reach to the point number 9, disengagement. Physically present, mentally absent. This can stem from psychological detachment, where they emotionally disconnect from their role. They will sit in office for 12 hours, but their work will be only for 3 hours, 4 hours. And believe you me, They try their best to work, but because they are mentally detached, disengaged, the productivity goes to shithole and they screw up. Point number 9 comes once they cross point number 8. Last but not the least, poor exit behavior. When they leave, they either slack off during the notice period, don't work hard, or simply abscond. This shows lack of reciprocity, not the social expectation to respect shared commitment. When they run away, they justify. They say that on the last day I sent you the resignation without serving the notice period. On the first day, when they join in, HR shouts on the top of his or her lungs that there is a notice period for a period of X number of days. But the bad employee, when he or she leaves, they would always blame the company, saying, I have already sent you the resignation, accept it, without serving even 1 day of notice period. They never buy their notice period. Let's say hypothetically, if they left 4 days, they have already worked for you. They could buy rest 26 days and say, you know what, out of 30 days, let me pay you the remaining salary. But they don't do that. They simply run away because bad employees, bad behavior. That's who they are. Do you recognize any of these traits in your team? They aren't just annoying. They are rooted in deep psychological patterns that sabotage success. Why this happens? Why do employees fall into this mindset? Psychology offers some answers, not all. First, defensive attribution bias plays a huge role. Blaming others is easier than facing personal shortcomings. They have been doing this from the day they were born. Otherwise, you will find if somebody is self-motivated, you will find them becoming big businessmen. If somebody is into job forever, that means they have been blaming their failures on other people. Childhood, they blamed on their uncles and aunties. Then they got a little bigger. The parents become the next victims. They started blaming their parents. After parents, they decided to blame college, teachers. After college and teachers, they decided to blame the corporate world. So these are serial blamers. They blame everyone for their personal shortcomings. For example, it's less painful to blame a printer jam than admit you did not proofread your own resume. Second point, learned helplessness kicks in when employees believe their efforts won't make a difference, so they stop trying altogether. This is often reinforced by repeating failures or unclear expectations. Third, low consciousness. One of the big 5 personality traits leads to poor discipline and follow-through. These employees struggle with structure and accountability. They would always say sorry. They would always say that tomorrow onwards I will be on time, if you talk about discipline. But they are never on time because they know you're just supposed to go and say sorry again. When you don't accept their sorries, then again they blame you because they say that you don't accept my sorries even if I'm saying this. So one person who is late to the office 20 days out of 30 days, and that person expects that all 20 days I will say sorry and you should allow me. How tragic is that? Sign of a loser or a bad employee, with all due respect. It's not all on the employees as well. Organizational factors can increase this mindset. A bad job fit, somebody who is not fit in his role, somebody who pushed in the interview to get that role. Even if, for example, a lot of people are doing BTechs, they come to my organization, look for BPO jobs. When you ask them, why do you want to work in BPO? They say, I want to improve my English. They should join a coaching, not a BPO job. But some people are confused that they can get into a BPO, improve their English, and become a software engineer in 6 months. Stupid people, because in reality, English is something, if they focus only 1 hour per day, it can be improved. The problem is that they blame bad job fit as toxic work environments. It's not true. You decided to give an interview, you decided to join the organization. If you did not like it, you should have simply put your papers in and you should have waited for the notice period. But they don't do that. And I'm not blaming. Sometimes some of the bosses are bad, without a doubt they are. As a leader, we have to ask, are we fostering psychological safety? Are we giving constructive feedback? At Echoles, we prioritize discipline over raw performance. You can miss a target, but if you lack discipline, you are not aligned with our vision. That's because discipline rooted in self-regulation theory is the bedrock for growth of any employee. Sometimes some of the employees have bad discipline as well as they're not interested in working hard. How sad is that? The impact and what to do. The bad employee mindset doesn't just hurt the individual. Believe you me, it's a poison pill for the teams. One person's negativity or lack of accountability can tank morale, delay projects, and force others to pick up the slack. So if somebody is not doing his or her job, so somebody else needs to come and fit in to do that person's job. The problem is that when you have smaller setups, everybody's capabilities are easily visible. I have seen it firsthand. A single employee slacking during their notice period can disrupt their entire workflows, and an absconder leaves teams scrambling to fill the gap. Psychologically, this creates a social loafing effect where teams' motivation drops because one person isn't pulling their weight. So what's the fix? First, spot the signs early. Procrastination, blame shifting, disengagement. Second, have direct empathetic conversation. Use motivational interviewing techniques to uncover their barriers and encourage ownership. Third, set clear, measurable goals to rebuild their self-efficacy. Fourth, invest in training to address skill gaps. Sometimes it's a matter of competence, not attitude. But if they refuse to change, part ways. Let them go. Ask them to resign. At Echoles, we believe in protecting team culture. One person's mindset shouldn't derail the collectiveness. Hence, we let people go. In case we find they're not doing their job, they're late, they're not disciplined, and they don't care. Here's the truth. Nobody chooses to be a bad employee. Believe you me when I tell you. These behaviors often stem from fear, insecurities, or lack of purpose. Psychological barriers we all face at times. If you are a leader, inspire change by fostering accountability and discipline. But know when to draw the line. If you are an employee, recognize these traits in yourself. It's not too late. Own your mistakes, stop deflecting, and commit to discipline. Be on time. Change your mindset to change your outcome. And if you are dealing with the mindset in your team, protect your culture, set high standards, and don't waver. Last but not the least, before I wrap today's episode on Echoles, let me tell you, some of the employees say that when I come on time, I'm supposed to leave on time. I agree with them. Absolutely true. Somebody who's coming on time should leave on time. However, some of the employees want to come late but still go on time because they say that everybody else left. It's such a trap where the employer is always trapped because he doesn't want. Bottom line is that if you follow discipline, everything is on time. You come on time, you leave on time. That's how it works. If this hits home, share it with your team, your HR crew, or the colleagues who need a nudge, a small support. Drop your thoughts in the comments on the YouTube channel and what's your worst bad employee story? How did you handle it? Let's keep this conversation going. Until next time, stay disciplined, stay focused, keep building something extraordinary. My name is Sushil. I'm signing off. Thank you for paying attention. One more thing. Some of the people are visiting our channel, but they are not subscribing. We see that almost 85% people who view our channel do not subscribe. My request is, it's just one small click. Click on that subscribe button. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.